The next one is
What?
the photo of this is when I said I wanted a tattoo, I said I wanted 5 roses for my 5 kids, and you came up with this incredible side piece, which is 25 times bigger than I thought I was gonna get. But when you
We already acknowledged she was Big Bird, right?
so when I went in and you hand drew this on me
Yeah.
to show me where it was going to go and placement and all of that, I was suddenly like, oh wow, I
And
want
it
to
moves
do
with
this.
you. And it's a different styles of doing black.
And
I
what
completely had fun with this one.
what I found out is that you used all different kinds of techniques
Mhm.
in the design of this tattoo. And if we can look at that again, you can kind of point out what the different things are, because I thought it was just amazing.
Well, the solid black is black work, and some people call it tribal. And it's a mixture of like that tribal mixed with Edwardian flourishing, which I love doing is flourishing. I use it with my letters. I use it with all sorts of stuff to dictate the shape of what it's on. So when that moves, you move. The roses were all put on using the crosshatch style, which is old printmaking,
Yes.
from the wood prints. So I drew those in places that wouldn't move as much as what the black was. And then I did the East LA powder shading style on it too, behind it. So I was just mixing up all these styles, and right by your watch, that's the cover up of your
My tribal sun.
yes, your tribal sun, which you can see is definitely a good 6 inches below her belly button, even though she was trying to pretend it wasn't that low earlier.
It was
Well,
on my stomach, lower stomach.
yeah, sure.
And so we spent a lot of time
And
on.
there's still 2 more roses.
Oh yes, this is not the
this is cropped for entertainment.
this is not the complete tattoo, because it goes up in my back and then down, so it moves around. So this was a really really big piece.
This was a whole beginning of a journey piece.
And so we spent
Do we have the other side?
2 or 3 weeks. This was the very first thing you did
Yeah,
on me. So
but I'm just the other side's. You
yes,
have a picture.
yes, we
How
do
it goes
have
from
the other
black and
side.
gray to color.
And so after
there you go.
let's go back to Lyle for a second though, because I met him right after you did this one and got a chance to show it to him. You got to show.
Yeah, Lyle. Hardy hated Lyle. No, Hardy didn't hate Lyle. Sailor Jerry hated Lyle, and therefore, at the time, Hardy hated Lyle. Hardy apologized later.
And Lyle is like one of the OGs, right?
Lyle was definitely an OG. He tattooed everywhere. His one of his best friends was Ron Ackers, who was in England. They would, people. There was nothing like that, so you had to write people. So all their correspondence would be through the mail, and they would send stencils. And at the time, they were acetate stencils. So you would do a rubbing or whatever and make a pattern. And they would do all this. They would send machines back and forth. Lyle probably had the biggest, he's dead now. That's why I said had.
Yes.
Biggest collection of tattoo machines ever. He was the go-to. If you had something and you wanted to know anything about it, Lyle knew. And he always had these like little one-liner jokes too, like, oh, this is a boat anchor, throw it away, shit like this. If you look behind him, it says Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
He is the first and only tattooer to be on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Oh wow.
Back when it was a paper. And he falsely got credit for tattooing Janis Joplin's wrist. Janis Joplin's wrist was done by Pat Martinick, who was a Canadian, who couldn't really take credit because he was illegal. So he didn't want any spotlight on him.
I didn't do that.
So Lyle took credit for it, but then it wasn't really a lie because later he put a little heart on her chest, on her breast. So he didn't lie, but people assume because they see the wrist more than they see the heart. Yeah, Lyle was the king of San Francisco.
And I think this was at the Tattoo Expo out at the Fairplex.
Yeah, this is Pomona.
And I'm honored that you asked me to come out and get a chance to meet
Yeah.
him.
Well, you showed interest. So, you obviously proved that you were cool. So, you know, plus people don't yeah, everybody knows. I sponsor that show for the past 22 years.
Yeah.
We tour all over the country with it.
And you do Tucson and
Not Tucson, I
no,
do Phoenix.
Phoenix?
This year, because we changed the locations all the time, was downtown LA, Pomona, San Francisco, Phoenix, and then in November of this year on the 8th, 9th, and 10th, we'll be at Westworld in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay.
But we did do Tucson once, and it was horrible. It was horrible.
So
Like,
you've
I think like 100 people showed up, and I tattooed about 10 of them.
and getting an appointment with you sometimes is kind of difficult because you are traveling all
Yeah.
over the country.
Yeah, I just made an appointment today for Norfolk, Virginia. Yeah, I travel everywhere. But people don't I post it all on Instagram, and then they're like, "Are you in town?" Like, "No,
No, didn't you see my
I'm in Houston."
I'm doing
Oh, that we do Houston too.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know how
right.
I
Yeah.
forgot that. I'm like, "I'm in Houston." They go, "Oh, I thought that was you did that already."
And so now going back to the side tattoo that you did for me,
Yes.
I originally went in and said I want 5 roses for my kids on this side and I want a single color rose over here for me.
Mhm.
And we spent a lot of hours on that right-hand side. And when I said, "Okay, well, let's make an appointment. I want to get my rose." You were like, "Yeah, I can do that."
But
And then you came up with the most incredible idea. Do you remember what it was?
of course, original sin. I just want to hear the way you say it.
You said,
'Cause
"Okay."
you're the receiver. You know
It
what I mean?
it was I was sitting there and he goes, "Okay, yes, I can do, a rose here, but, we've been working together. I've listened to your story.
You have an amazing story.
We've talked with each other and I've kind of gotten to know you." And I said, and you have that little tribal sun there. And what the fuck do you have that for? It doesn't make sense." He goes, "So what I was thinking we could do is I would come up with a lotus flower cover up of that tattoo, because the lotus flower is something that is beautiful that springs out
From mud.
from mud and darkness.
Yes.
And that it would then transform over to a flower, but not a rose, but an exotic flower, a flower that is unlike any other. And
And who are we talking about?
and we incorporate the original sin and the apple and the snake. And
Yeah.
and I was like,
This was right after it was done, so there's a lot of swelling on there. So the gray shading behind it got really light, so you can make it out better now. But the red that you see are the belly scales of the snake. I'm describing it so
yes,
your
I can see
followers
it here
can see
also.
it. Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, and it's going to be on the
It's over
screen
there.
here. So
Yeah, it's on the screen right there. So there's the apple down at the bottom with the thing, but then you have this like flourishing thing of beauty. But we left your butterfly and your little stars in there.
yes, because that
Yeah.
was the 5 stars for my 5 kids,
Yeah.
and I do a lot of 5 things.
And this is another one where it also moves with your body. When I was drawing it on you, I had you stand and move, and I drew all the cross lines and stuff like this. So if you go from the black through the lotus into this, it was like my way of seeing your story of transition. So the tattoo is transitioning too.
So and because of that, I've then kind of decided that all of my right hand body side, legs, arms, and such are black ink tattoo, and then it transitions into color on my
Mhm.
left hand side, and it's kind of become a metaphor for my transition that
Yeah.
I had this darkness
Not
and this
well,
colorful.
but the darkness wasn't bad darkness. It could have been any darkness. See, it could have been dark and romantic. I mean, your kids aren't bad, so
Oh no, no,
those
no.
4 roses. It's some people don't understand darkness when you say it. They don't understand there's a beauty to darkness. When you're in a complete darkness, the smallest bit of light you appreciate. But if
And
you're in the light, you never appreciate it.
and I was in some dark places at different times in my life, and
That alley
so
in Hollywood that we first talked about.